173 overs of play and 52 overs of batting. That's all it's taken for India to complete a test match win, which gives them another test series win at home. On ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, we're joined by Sanjay Manjrekar to look back on a Kanpur test which did not pay for all the action it missed out on over the weekend. Sanjay, thank you for your time. To win a test where less than 180 overs of play happened, just a further demonstration of India's might at home.
Yes, India have had some short test matches that they've dominated and won. If you remember against England in that day-night test match in Ahmedabad, the pink ball test match, India won in a very short time. And there was one against Australia as well, where Michael Clark got 6 wickets for 9 runs. So the things have happened, but the pitches there were absolute rank turners, which suited India a lot more than they did the opposition. But in this case, with Bangladesh, you can see that Bangladesh had a great opportunity to make a mark in the series because the pitches weren't ideal for the Indian bowling attack, the kind of pitches that they were used to dominating the opposition. Despite that, this was the kind of dominance that we've never seen before. And Bangladesh came with some reputation, came as a team that was much stronger than all the Bangladeshi teams before. So when you look at all these aspects, you think that's another terrific performance by India.
Yeah, the push for the victory was set up by that record breaking batting performance on day four, but the bowlers had a job to do. Bangladesh looked like they could last longer, 90 for 3. They were going fairly steady, but that's when India belatedly introduced Ravindra Jadeja into instant impact.
Yes, if you remember, we were talking about what is the likely result that's going to be on final day, whether Bangladesh will be able to survive on the final day and play for a draw. And we said that it doesn't look likely because playing for draws is something that it's a bit like some, young kid being asked to play music on a cassette player. They are not used to it. So that is how it is for young batters to play for a draw. So this was the likely result. And maybe if you have to just be picky and pick out something as an area to improve on, I think Rohit Sharma gets a little too caught up in the matchups. And I think that is provided by the data because the moment Jadeja came in 2.2 overs, he had 3 wickets, out of which two were of two, big left-handers, Shanto and Shakib Al Hasan. So maybe that is something India could look at and not get too carried away with the matchups. Apart from that, brilliant show.
Yeah, and one of the things you praised about the first innings bowling effort was that sharing of wickets, which took you back to the days of West Indies of prime. And you look at this innings as well; those three stalwarts of this Indian bowling lineup sharing 3 wickets between them.
Yes, because the pitches in this series were different. Earlier, the kind of surfaces that we had, which were ranked turners, you had no choice but to start bowling from spin from one end, with the new ball, and fast bowlers hardly got a look in. India played 3 spinners, sometimes 4 as well. So this is something where, this series had a slightly different flavor to it because Bangladesh came with the reputation of being good against spin and had good spinners themselves. So India dished out something that was uh, sort of a fair pitch for both sides. And that is why the seamers had something to play with and with the kind of quality that India had, even against England, when there was nothing much for the spinners, the fast bowlers would chip in. Akash did in Ranchi and Bumrah right through the series. So the surfaces change and the fast bowlers have more of a say. And that is the reason you see, the wickets being spread out amongst all the bowlers.
All right, I just want to close out the Indian thread before I pick your brains around Bangladesh. And on batting, your thoughts. What stands out is Yashasvi Jaiswal's continuing hunger for runs. He's added three more 50 plus scores in this series and just never looked short of being able to perform in home conditions.
Yes, and more than runs, if you see the shots that he plays, we know that he has a good defense. We've seen that patient side and the defensive side of Jaiswal as well in the past against England. But in this series, you saw you got an insight into the range of shots that this guy has. Even today, there was one shot that he played against Mehdi Hassan where he on drive, typical classical on drive. And that was a brilliant shot on a pitch that was slow and turning. So what you're getting to see is that Yashasvi Jaiswal has some serious talent, serious ability, excellent range of shots, very versatile as a batter. And I hope that, becomes his strength going forward and carving out a long, test career for himself. All the others, I mean, Rishabh Pant was, great to see him back in form. Ashwin with the bat is still as good as he's with the ball at this age. And Shubman Gill chipped in with another 100. So, yeah, the next gen Indian batters are looking fine.
Yeah, you've touched on the next gen. I just want one thought on one of the old guard, because I mean this test has been played in unique circumstances. The way India had to approach their batting in this, but in these unique circumstances, is there anything to learn from the ease with which Virat Kohli scored while batting much more freely?
No, it is something that even at this stage of his career is something that you expect. And Virat Kohli's, intent and, every time he comes into bat, even if India needs 20 runs to get, just love his intensity, the application. We shouldn't be focusing too much on Virat's performances at home because the series that will leave a mark on Indian cricket in present time will be the one to Australia. And that is where I think Virat Kohli will be needed by Indian cricket. And that is how you judge Virat Kohli by the highest standards, in home conditions where India is winning generally and not the best opposition, where spin and slow pace is the sort of flavor of the series. That's not where you see Virat Kohli at his best. So that is the series. Then until then, he can just maybe feel at home in this playing 11 for India.
No, 100%. Point taken. But every series assumes a little greater significance with the context of the World Test Championship. And India go into three tests soon against New Zealand, who too will come with their own spinners. The only question I'm asking is from that relative ease or the lack or the returns that we saw from Kohli in this test when he played spinners in a different way, is that something, is there anything to take from that into the New Zealand tests?
Yeah, this is now purely observation, and the first answer was also based on the observation that I have not seen anything significant as a change or a deterioration in the way he's playing on these kind of pitches. So, as I said, this is not really his comfort zone. He may have played, a few good innings. He had to play freely and quickly because India was playing differently. So that may have just eased the pressure a little bit, but there was nothing there to suggest that there is any deterioration nor any massive improvement. You could see that he was trying to play some sweep shots in that second inning, so he's also trying to work out his way. But I do believe that the best of Virat Kohli as of today won't be seen in these conditions. It will be seen in tougher conditions for Indian batters when they go overseas, as we saw last in South Africa.
All right, let's turn our attention to Bangladesh. The high of winning in Pakistan has come crashing quite soon. While you didn't expect them to realistically win a test in India, you expected them to push India more than they have before. In that sense, especially losing a test which saw barely 2 days of play, does that represent a bit of a reality check, or is that a harsh assessment?
I think it is a reality check because they came with the test cricket at its peak. They won a few test matches at home against good teams, but beating Pakistan in Pakistan was a massive achievement. And that's where, they have to feel bad. And I don't think there are too many things to look at. The very obvious area of improvement and something that they've got to address going forward is how the seniors who have so many matches under their belt, who have this kind of stature back home in Bangladesh. These are superstars. They are big brands in Bangladesh, and this is the time to show that you deserve that special attention. And the way they batted, Litton, Mushfiqur, and Shakib, we saw nothing of the kind. I know everybody goes through a bit of a rut, but the approach and they didn't actually look like threats at all right through the series. Maybe at the start, Mushfiqur in that first innings of the series, but after that, you just felt that they didn't quite have the fight or the belief to take this India on and fight their back against the wall. And that is what you need seniors to do. And when Indian cricket was young, Indian cricket had these kind of senior batters who led the way for the others. It seems the other way around here in Bangladesh. So that is something they need to really look at. The only area to look at. Seam department looks okay. There's potential there. Top order, 1, 2, they look quite good. Spain will always be in steady supply of good quality in Bangladesh.
You could argue with respect to those senior batters, Mushfiqur, Shakib, Litton, that there were issues of both shot selection as well as spot selection coming too late in the order in what is such a young, relatively younger top order.
I think both holds true. I do believe that number three, one of the three has to be batting at number three, and then you have the left hand, right hand combination. So Litton, Shakib, and Mushfiq should all be in the top five, top six. That's it. But when you have three batters out of the four in the top order who are averaging under 30 in their 20s at the test level, you're just inviting the opposition to take a stranglehold of the game, and then you're trying to fight back. I don't think that's the way to go, and they've done it for a long time and may have felt that it's working, but this is a reality check against a team like Australia. Beg your pardon. Look at that. A team like Australia. Over the years, I've been so used to saying about strong teams, and now it's a team like India that you need to look at these things. So no excuses. Spot selection was wrong, and shot selection. Rishabh Pant plays these kind of shots. England, baseball, they play these kind of shots, but that's played with a certain sense of commitment, belief, and they believe that's the right method. This I thought was more out of just trying to get out of a hole.
Yeah, 172 runs between Mushfiqur, Shakib, and Litton in the 12 innings they batted in this series. That paints a picture in itself. And one of those three won't be around for much longer because the next test Bangladesh play, which will be against South Africa in Dhaka, will be the last of Shakib Al Hassan's career. Shakib, who's already announced that he's done playing T20Is. So we are approaching the end of what Sanjay isn't just Bangladesh's finest, but arguably one of the better all rounders in world cricket over the past decade. What to you will stand out the most from Shakib's long career?
I think a couple of things. The first obvious thing that really hits you is when you look at the numbers. Batting average of 38. Now you see a lot of top order pure batters today in Test cricket have that kind of an average, so 38. And to add to that, he's got 19 5-wicket hauls. And those are excellent numbers. And people could argue very few of those have come against, major top teams, or most of them are in Bangladesh or in Asia, but those are great numbers. So that's the one takeaway. The second thing about Shakib that I like in a funny way is, during the World Cup, when they had Angelo Matthews timed out in Bangladesh, when Shakib appealed against Angelo Matthews. And I remember talking to him after the game, and he said, well, it's within the rules. And for me, this is not a match, this is a war. And I look at any possible chance to win the war. And that is an approach that he had. Obviously, his team is at this stage of their history is not one of the top teams, but when somebody has that kind of a fight within, I admire those kind of cricketers, and Shakib always had that, and perhaps that is the reason sometimes we saw him lose a little bit of control on the cricket field, around the cricket field. But as I said, great numbers and a warrior.
Yeah, you could write volumes on just the character in itself, which is why Shakib Al Hassan, not just an all rounder on the field, but an all rounder in the sense he gave so much to those who write headlines and to those who record the stats, because his international career is nearly 15,000 runs and more than 700 wickets. So, well done to Shakib Al Hassan, and it should be a good sight to see him play one last time on home soil in Dhaka. That will be Bangladesh's next assignment. India too have a test assignment starting in a bit, so the World Test Championship standings take great significance. And that is where, Sanjay, this result, as much as it may feel like, okay, India got the job done, but had this been a draw with all that time lost, India also had a similar draw in West Indies last year. Those points tend to bother a lot of teams come the end of these WTC periods, but the relevance of the points table just a little more prominent because you do have five tough matches coming up in Australia. you want to keep yourselves in a comfortable position, and India could make their position even more comfortable if they have a good run out against New Zealand in a couple of weeks' time. That's when we'll have Sanjay Manjrekar joining us again. So, Sanjay, enjoy the mini break between these two test series. Thank you so much
With
for your
Indian
company.
cricket, it's always mini breaks or no breaks.
Yes, it's been fun having you through this Bangladesh
Thank
Test
you.
series. Look forward to your company when New Zealand arrive. That does it then from us for this India Bangladesh Test series on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.